All right, so how to create a learner-centric experience in Docebo 7.0. First of all, I'm Ryan Schaefer. I'm an account executive here at Docebo. I'm based in Athens, Georgia, which is our North American office. Currently in Docebo, we have 4 offices worldwide. We actually started in Milan, Italy in 2005 as an open source. And in 2012, we opened our office is in Athens, Georgia, and then in the Middle East in Dubai. And then in 2016, we actually opened an office in Toronto as well. Upon opening those 2 offices, North America and Dubai, we really began to experience what could probably be considered experiential growth. And from that point on, we've actually expanded to about 140 employees at the moment and over 1,200 clients in 83 different countries. As far as the fields that we do particularly well in, or that the primary number of our clients consist of, it will be software, pharmaceutical or healthcare, and then retail, as well as a number of different associations and organizations. These are a few of the different clients, some of our most notable ones at the moment. The use cases range from simply onboarding and internal training to external training, customer and partner training, and extended enterprise functionality. Over the last few years, we've actually been able to gain quite a lot of industry recognition. Much of that is due to the unique design, because we're very innovation driven. We're also particularly focused on the learner experience and on the informal side of the experiential learning. A couple things that we're going to go over today, or that we'll see, and we consider these our unique strengths, is the modularity and flexible approach to the platform. In other words, we can really configure and customize the experience to our learners into different sets and groups of learners as we see fit. This could extend down to, again, that case of my employees could have a completely different experience from my channel partners, etc. As far as where we're going, when I said that we were focused on innovation, this is a little bit of where we've been as well, starting in 2012 when we really moved into the SaaS model. And then in 2015, we sort of expanded into the extended enterprise space and then continued flowing into the formal and informal side of learning, which is where we're headed in the future as well. In 2017, what we have on the roadmap is a skills and competencies module to really help track and measure those performance gaps, and as well as some AI predictive learning. When I mentioned the informal side of learning, this is a unique product that we developed, and we call it Learn, Coach, and Share. And what it allows us to do is share knowledge from different departments or different organizations as we see fit. So the traditional model has always been that students would say take a course and it's sort of pushed to them. This is more of the inverse of that model, in that they are more sharing the different pieces of content that are relevant to them, that they've learned, and maybe from knowledge experts that they can now interact with and grow more quickly and learn more thoroughly. All right, with that being said, let's take a look at Docebo 7.0. What we're going to see, what are the changes, or what we've added, is a brand new UI and UX. And the goal here is to make everything as simple for the learner and as efficient as possible, so that they have everything that they need at their fingertips, and we can actually cater that to different audiences as well. We're expanding on the social learning capabilities with the Coach and Share. We're adding some things like playlists to really build on that platform and encourage that different type of learning. We added mobile play for offline capability, so that your students now, wherever they are across the world, can continue learning on their mobile devices. And then finally, we've really expanded our features as far as e-commerce with some abilities to create different types of bundles and subscription model. This is going to allow a number of folks to move that L&D department into more of a recurring revenue stream. All right, let's take a look at the platform. All right, So there's a number of different ways that your users or learners can encounter the platform. Something that we'll quite often see is maybe a single sign-on through like an HRIS tool, such as Salesforce or Workday. That integration is coming in 2017, or perhaps just something simple along the lines of a self-registration. In this case, they would see something that might look along these lines, although you can configure it to however you like. I'm going to log in first from the learner side and take a look at what that experience might be. So as soon as I'm logged into the platform as a learner, I'm going to immediately land on this dashboard. And the goal here is to cater this to what is particular and what is of particular relevance to these learners. So for instance, I can access my courses right away with a single click. If I've got announcements, if it's my first time in the platform and I need to know where to start, then I can use perhaps this HTML widget to put something in here of where to begin, or even a video could be plugged in. If I have upcoming trainings that might be live events, or something I could enroll into, such as a webinar or in-person training, I can see what's coming there and choose to enroll. And then as far as the fun stuff, as I'm going through the platform and I've been measuring my progress, I've been now achieving things, I've also been giving these badges and rewards, which we will touch on later. All right, so let's take a look at an e-learning course. Now, one thing to note is these courses are built out so that they can be catered to the different audience that you would like, or the different experience rather, to configure that. For example, we could have a list view in place. And then as a student, I would have the ability here to pick up where I left off from my last piece of training material, and also to scroll through the different learning objects that comprise the course. If you would like, you can set up prerequisites, or you can allow free learning for the student to be able to pick and choose the order in which they take the course and the course material. And then as I'm scrolling down, I'm going to encounter some widgets that are configurable at the course level. All of these are on a plug and play format, so you can pick and choose what's relevant for your particular audiences, and you can cater that as you see fit. A couple of different items here would be a comment wall that's similar to Facebook or LinkedIn, forums for more threaded discussions. If you're doing some web conferences, you want to tie that into the course. Course descriptions, I can add different items here, such as difficulty level or accredited body. And then if I have some particular relevant files, something that might be along the line of like a job aid or a document that's used quite often, like a handbook, then I would find that in the file repository area. All right. Now this is, again, just a single course. If I want to look at doing some continuing education or pick some other courses along my learning path, I can look at these employee catalogs or course catalogs. I do have the ability here, again, to cater this per different audiences, so that I could have, for instance, as we're seeing, an internal employees catalog, and then I might have a partner or a customer catalog as well, each visibility being what I want it to be. And this allows me then to see the other items that I might be able to pick and choose in. All right, I'm going to jump back to the dashboard here and take a look at something along the lines of a webinar. So if I did choose that route, something that would be something along the lines that is a multi-day session, or that I want to pick the time that is best for me, I'll decide what I want to enroll in, and I'll confirm that. And then prior to the webinar, I'm going to see whatever tool that we have plugged in here with the integration. We actually work with about 8 to 10 different webinar capabilities. 30 minutes prior to the webinar, I'll see a Join Now button, and I'll be able to join that webinar, and at the end there will also be a button for that recording as well. Now, these are examples of particular courses. We also have the concept of a learning plan, which would be bundling sets of courses together. So for instance, if I want to have a path for my students for all of my onboards and pair my in-person training with my e-learning, with my webinars, I would be able to do that with the learning plans. An example of that, go back here on my dashboard. Also, as I'm going through the platform, if I'm looking for anything in particular, I can use this search function to quickly scroll through and find whether it's a knowledge asset, a learning plan, or a course, and all of that works on a tag function. The last piece that I want to touch on is this knowledge library. When we were talking earlier about the informal side of the platform, think of this very much like an internal YouTube channel where users can go and find different topic areas, or really what we call channels, such as a safety training or compliance training, and get a very different experience from the traditional course level. These could be videos or articles. They could be anything created by, say, experts in the system, or it could be something that you want to share with the general audience. And when I look at an asset, what I'm going to see are also similar assets of other values, and not just this particular one, but something that is along the same lines. For instance, now I'm in the sales channel. I can see what else is relevant here. I'm allowed to comment on this or rate it. I can ask questions of an expert associated with the course or with a particular channel, or simply leave a comment if I want this to be a little bit more broad. And then one of the newer things that we've actually introduced is the ability to create an ad playlist as well. So if I have content that maybe I want to binge watch on some of this material, and I want to create a sort of a best hits of things that I've enjoyed. Maybe it's a group of TED Talks that then I want to share with someone else from a different department, or maybe it's someone else that's across the globe but in my same department. I would be able to do that here, tag it, describe it, and then make this what I would want it to be. From a higher level, from the admin standpoint, I do have peer review so that people, if I'm coming in and I'm allowing my learners then to share content with the group, that I also am able to make sure that that is relevant and valuable content. And what this allows you to do is get very granular in determining who can contribute to what channel with that approval process. And you have a number of permissions there. For instance, that maybe I can just view content, but I can't post. A number of rules that I can put into place and allow the control that I need over users for delegating out some of the content, both creation and curation. All right. And now from the learner side, I've taken a few courses and I've now been sharing in the knowledge library. I've been participating on both the formal side and the informal side. I can pull some high-level reporting at this My Activities page. So right away, they'll see progress in the different course sections for different learning objects, and then they'll also see how active they've been in the Coach and Share section here. And oftentimes we'll see the use case here being, if I'm wanting to look at who are my most active participants, if I'm doing leadership development, who are my leaders and managers and executives of the future, who's sharing the most valuable content, I can get granular on this as well as from the tracking standpoint. If it's something that's more on the traditional lines of my progress in courses, I'd be able to go through this as well. I can see progress there, I can see what's completed, I can see if I have a certificate attached to a course, I can download that with a single click. Along the same lines, if it's something that might be recertifying or renewing, I'll be able to see not only when it expires, but then I can send notifications from the admin side letting them know as well. And 12 months is coming up, it's time to renew. And I can also allow them to renew early if I would like. And all of this is configurable as well for the audience that's needed. So for instance, if I'm not going to be taking any in-person type trainings, the student would not see this. They will again only see what's relevant to them. If you're doing some kind of external training, think Six Sigma or OSHA type training, and you want to pull that into the LMS for some extra visibility or use it as a central hub for that reporting side and tracking. You have that capability here as well. The student would simply enter the name of the training institute, the course name, etc., upload that particular certificate, and then you can set it up so that their instructor would receive a notification when that's done to basically validate that if you would like as well. You also have the ability to create additional fields here to capture some extra information. From this point, I'm going to switch over to the admin side. All right. And the first thing that we'll notice from the admin side as I'm logging in is that they're going to have a very different dashboard. There's no limits to the number of different dashboards you can have for different audiences. In this particular case, think of it almost as a management type role. I might see some KPIs here. These are the statistics that are relevant to me, and you can cater these out from the user side per audience. Also, even as an admin or as a manager, I still have the ability to go into this gamification section. What these allows me to do is, again, as I'm achieving different items in the platform, I can collect different badges and points, different coins. I can also participate in contests, which would be something that would be over a certain amount of time, or I can have an all-time leaderboard, which I can create different sets for these as well. And then once I've amassed some particular points or coins, we actually have a reward shop that I can turn that into something tangible that I can actually get my hands on. So you can set different rewards in here as well for particular different audiences. How do we get people into the platform and organize them? That's a really common question, and that is, we handle that through two different methods. The first is this organizational chart or branching structure. This probably looks very familiar to a traditional organizational chart. The capability to use these folders to sort and segregate by different location, let's say geographical office, and then down to different job roles as well. So you can see as I'm sort of siloing down here, it's going to open up different tabs on my different audiences. And then I also can keep this separate for my, say, channel partners or customers. What this does by putting the folks into the different folders is it then allows me, through the use of our automation and enrollment rules, to once they're placed in their particular section, to automatically be enrolled in the courses or learning plans that are relevant to that particular learner, and make it very hands-off. As a follow-up or supplemental piece, we also have this groups function. Where this fits in is, say that I have 5 or 10 branches, and I want each one, and each one would represent a different client. And you want to say take a manager from each one, and you want to be able to group them by profile data or job role, department, physical location. And then as people are added to the system, what it actually does is I can create groups with roles that will then, the LMS will dynamically auto-populate that information for them as they grow and change over time, perhaps even passing from company to company inside the LMS. And as far as course creation, let's take a look. So there's a number of different items that we have, or different options when it comes to course creation. The first is just this folders function, which allows me to sort my training material or build out different modules. I also have the different types of SCORM videos, MP4s, YouTube, Vimeo, Wistia can actually be embedded into the platform. If I want the student to download a file, that would be here. This would be the counter to that, would be an assignment. Perhaps the student performs an activity and they upload their progress for an instructor to evaluate. I have Elucidat here as a fairly popular authoring tool. We see quite a lot, we have import there. Central repository, something along the lines of almost like a bank vault that you can, as you're reversioning out your different learning objects or creating new courses, you can store the learning objects in the central repository and then send them back out to my different courses, not have to reinvent the wheel. Google Drive syncs up with your different documents and presentations, so as they're being changed and updated, that carries over to the LMS. The slides converter here would be for PowerPoints or PDFs. And then I have the surveys and test functions as well, with the surveys being anonymous and the tests being, of course, tracked to my user. And then, as I mentioned, these course widgets are each configurable as I'd like. And these are a number of different options that we have as well. With the iframe here being something that we've added more recently. All right, so after I've created my course materials, now I've got my organizational charts in place. And I want to be able to pull some tracking on particular items. We have two levels of reporting, or two different ways that we really approach the reporting in this. First would be at the course level, and the second would be through the custom reports, which allow us the most flexibility. Let's take a look at the reports section here. First thing to note under the reports section is right away I also have these course summaries, and I can do these as well as for a personal, for any of my learners in particular, if I want to see how someone is doing, and maybe if they're perhaps behind, or particular assets as well. I can do these, they'll be right at my fingertips. As an administrator, or even as, say, a manager, I'll be able to report or pull this on my relevant audience, or who I'm allowed to sort of keep an eye on. Right away, I'm going to see this nice looking graphic here as far as progress in the courses. And then I can drill down on each particular learner if I'd like from there as well. If I need to check up on Anthony Stark, I can drill down a little bit deeper. I can see when their last access to the particular course is, and also in particular items of the course, so that I can kind of unveil some of my bottlenecks there if people maybe aren't understanding particular learning objects, or they're not doing particularly well on say, some of the tests. What can I improve there? And this is where I can go for that granular information. However, the bulk of our reporting is often done through this custom reports section here. I'll go to custom report. I could create a new report, and what this allows me to do is get very granular and be able to schedule these as I see fit. So if I want to create something on my particular two courses, I can focus on what particular group or branch that I want to focus on, that I would need visibility on. For instance, maybe it's my customers in this instance. And I can pick whatever courses that I like or see fit. And now I can start getting a little bit more in depth too with my enrollment dates or completion dates. Maybe it's a case of some new hires, or maybe it's my newest customers that I want to pull something on. Any of these fields I've added. I can do this from the user level as well, as create an unlimited amount of additional fields, and then that'll carry over as actionable data to my reports for going forward in the future. Maybe source of referral if we're talking an e-commerce scenario. And then any of these other data points that I want to populate this with, status always being one that comes up. I'm able to sort as I see fit, or maybe the particular order that I like. And then the last piece is I can schedule this here. And what this allows me to do is make the LMS very hands-off. It can be, now if I want an email that tells me the progress of all of my students, or all of my relevant students coming in every Monday morning at 9 a.m. and emailed to me and 4 other people, this is exactly how I would go about doing that. A quick note on these reports as well is all of them are exportable to Excel, to CSV file, and as well to HTML. I can set the visibility on those reports, and then also as I delve into them, if a student is, say, behind, when I get a little bit deeper into those, they'll actually turn in red. So if they're delinquent, it will point that out to me. All right. There are a couple of different levels of permissions that we have in the platform. And how we approach that is we have the super admin level, and then we also have the user level, and then in between there we have what we call the power user. With a common scenario being that we want people with certain sets of permissions in the platform, but not visibility on everything. And this way they're only going to see the audience that's relevant to them. I can manage that through this function here. So I can set these different profiles and cater their visibility. For instance, in this particular case, maybe my national sales director has visibility on my Salesforce branch, etc. here, but those are the only users that would be assigned to him. As I'm building that platform out, or my organizational structure, I can set all of those permissions in the power user section. New employer. This allows me a lot of control from the admin side, and also it allows me to sleep well at night, knowing that everybody is doing what they're supposed to do, and not playing around in the playgrounds that they shouldn't be. So maybe the permissions here would be that they can only edit, for instance, and view, but they cannot create or delete new students or new learners. The same for reports. Any of these levels here as well. Now, as different actions are being taken place in the platform, a couple of different ways that we can keep everybody on the same page or notified is through this notifications feature here. So we also have ability to send these out, so not only through the LMS, but then also through email, as well as Slack channels, so that as new courses are being created or being enrolled, etc. If I'm an instructor and I need something graded or an assignment to be evaluated, all of that can be kept up to date, and it can work virtually hands-free. Something else that we tackle from both the learner side and from the admin side is this channels function here. And what it allows me to do from the learner side is sort through all of the informal learning that I have visibility on. So again, the scenario of I'm doing some continuing education, but maybe it's just hours spent in the platform, or something that would be along the lines of growth development or leadership development. All of that content can be accessed through here, as well as the scenario of, say, a knowledge library, so that again, if we have someone in a certain department, say in sales, that is the go-to guy, and he's been asked the same question over and over, he can actually place the answer to that question in this sort of knowledge library in the relevant channel, and then the other sales folks can come in and they can access that quite easily. If I want to contribute something myself, again as a learner, it would look something along the lines of this. I have a video that I've uploaded and it's ready to go. And in the case of that I've embedded something from YouTube, it's going to populate the description there. And then I can tag it as I would like. I can set it to private or public, so maybe if it's something that I did myself and I only want my director to see it first, I could put it in private and invite only them. Or if I set it to public, I can actually choose what particular audience is going to see this particular piece of content. And that carries over to inviting folks as well. All right, so at this point, I am going to pause and see if we have any questions from the audience. All right, I got one from Cheryl. Please show how e-commerce works when using the system for internal training versus selling. All right, so as far as an e-commerce option, Cheryl, this is one way that we've seen this approach, is you do have the ability to set the catalog so it's externally facing. So the first time that the users would come in and then land on the platform or experience the platform, they would immediately see something along these lines with the courses that they might want to choose from. You do have the ability to set different categories and the visibility on those categories and cater that for those particular learners as well. And the example of then what might happen is they go to buy the course, they're going to see some information along the lines of descriptions, perhaps there's an instructor attached, and different sessions if it's something live, as well as training material that be attached to that particular course. Something a little bit more relevant from this learner side is, again, if I'm doing it now through the platform, a little bit different experiences, if I want to bundle those courses into, say, a learning plan. And this could be, again, the example of I have webinars paired with e-learning, and perhaps paired even with an instructor-led training. Maybe they get a discount, or it's a reduced price for purchasing that bundle. And the student will come in, enter their information here, and then you have the ability to set different coupons. You can also set the number of available coupons, as well as the particular discounts you would like. They would apply that, and then it would go through the third-party gateway. Now, from the administration side, we do have something along the lines that we've added, and that is the subscription bundles. And what this allows you to do is sort of manage, or more ably manage, the courses that you're selling from that e-commerce scenario. So it might be the case of that a student, for instance, you've purchased a bundle of courses and someone leaves, and now you want to reuse that license for someone else. And a number of different options that we didn't have in the past that really stretch more into that realm of e-commerce and give you some more functionality. All right. For his next question, are gamification badges, this is from Hugh, are gamification badges pre-created or do we upload our own? Sure. So good question, Hugh. The gamification badges are preloaded. There's about 30, I think at last count, into the platform. I'll be able to handle that under the gamification here. However, you do have the ability to upload your own as well. And then along those lines, I've actually added these myself. So it's really up to you. You can get creative there if you'd like and if you have the time. And then you have a number of different sets or abilities from the admin side too, as far as giving those badges out. For instance, you can set the different rules, but you can also manually assign them at any point to particular students if maybe you're in a good mood that day. All right, question from Paul. How do you handle the display of courses based on the language chosen by the learner? So at the moment, Paul, we actually have 33 different languages that we work with in the platform. You can handle that through the localization tool. And not only does that allow you to set the different language for whatever is hard-coded into the platform, but you can also change up some of the terminology as well. So for instance, if I wanted to change something on this main menu that the learner is seeing, maybe I want to call my courses and learning plans a curriculum instead, or my curriculums, then I would have that ability as well. So I can configure that. I do have some ability to configure that as I would like to. All right, question from Jesse. Could you please explain how the Salesforce app works? Sure, Jesse. So we do have an integration with Salesforce, as well as we have one coming, or it's on the roadmap for 2017 for Workday as well. So basically the Salesforce works on a push-pull type of integration through the APIs. The common scenario there being, I've got a lot of my employees, or all of my employees, or my team, I've got their information in Salesforce. I want to see their progress going through Docebo and be able to pull the tracking reporting on that. So by that push-pull, we can basically pull the students, rather your learners, into the platform, and then as they're going through the courses or they're participating in them or in the informal side as well, then that tracking information is then sent back out to Salesforce. And if that's something that you would like more of a one-on-one demonstration of at some point, we can handle that as well. All right, a question from Mike. If a user accesses content in the channels, are they then considered an active user, or is it only when they take a course? Right, good question, Mike. So as far as relation to the channels, the user would actually be considered active by accessing training material or a course, and in that case, the channels are considered training material. Capitalizing on that, and for clarification there as well, our definition of active user would be someone that accesses training material in a given month, and then every month that count is reset all the way back to 0. All right, question from Jenna. Are clients informed of maintenance schedules or system updates? All right, that's a good one as well. So as far as we do system updates, we're doing what we like to term sprints now, which are weekly updates or changes to the platform, and those are based on priority of feedback, particularly from our clients, our current clients, and both perspective on what's important and what we can do more ably in the platform. So those are taking place. Those would be what we consider minor changes every single week. And then traditionally, we've had 3 major updates a year for Docebo, but we are moving more to the sprint system of weekly. And we actually have a weekly change log that you can view as well on the site. All right, and the last question from Nicole. Is there an available list of web conferencing platforms that Docebo is compatible with? So at the moment, Nicole, we're compatible with about 12 to 15 right out of the box. We do have the ability to also look at using some kind of custom tool. But the common ones are the ones out there that we most often see would be GoToWebinar, WebEx, BlueJeans, Zoom, and a number of others. So that would be something that if you wanted to chat with somebody in particular, I'm sure they could figure out or give you a better answer on what particular item you're looking for or looking to integrate with. All right. Well, at this point, everybody, I think we're coming to the end of the time here. And thanks for taking the time today to take a look at what's new in Docebo 7.0, and we'll be following up with you shortly. Please feel free to reach out to anybody at the sales team if you have further questions. Thanks so much.